What is up, guys? It's me, the Runescape historian, back with another video. First video in about 2 weeks. I apologize for that. If you guys are patrons, the few of you that are, you'll notice I actually discontinued the page because I won't be uploading as frequently. I have a lot of like IRL stuff I have to do. Just got a lot going on right now, guys, but I do try and upload when I can. But if you guys are donating to support the channel for me to make videos and I can't do that, you're not necessarily getting your money's worth, so I didn't feel right about that. So I took the page down, and none of you guys should be getting billed. I'm keeping the Discord ranks and stuff like in place, kind of like grandfathered in, but those are discontinued. And yeah, looking like I have a turd on my head here, rolled up my hair, got the world's biggest forehead, and the world's worst green screen. Really need to get another one. But yeah, let's dive right into the video. So first things first, a couple things I want to note is a video similar to this has been done. I have not watched it because I have the belief that subconsciously as a creator, if you watch someone else's video and then right after go and create your own, you kind of subconsciously steal ideas or maybe reiterate some of the points they made. So I actually have not watched this video yet, but if it's similar to most of his other content, I am sure it is great. I will watch it after I make my own video. Make sure I didn't copy this guy too much. But yeah, shout out to Colinello. So the item in question was released August 7th of 2006 alongside the Gnome Restaurant rework. Just to be clear, RuneScape Classic had its version of Gnome Restaurant with some pretty subpar rewards such as cooking XP and a small amount of coins. But it was reworked August 7th of 2006 to include items such as the mint cake and a few other items as well. It was a revamped drop table for the Gnome Restaurant in RS2, and it included that mint cake. Initially, the item didn't really see much use. It was well after the 2007 Unbalanced Trade Removal update where the mint cake actually saw extensive use, and it was used in what's known as junk trades after that trade limit was introduced. Let's just use an example of a 100k trade limit. This was changed and altered at various points, but let's just use a ballpark of 100k. So you have player 1, player 2. They can only trade 100k price difference between each other. And let's also say you have a mint cake, but the grand exchange value is 20k. Let's say you also did some Zami God Wars and got a ton of those adamant arrows poison plus plus. One stack of those arrows could sell from anywhere from 400k to 600k on the grand exchange. The problem was they didn't sell because they were a junk item. They had an inflated grand exchange value. So you're stuck with these arrows. You can't really do much with them. So what do? Let's say you have 5 mil of these arrows. So what you would do is you would put 5 mil in those arrows, raising the trade value up to 5 mil to the other person's 0, and then you would throw on a mint cake, one of them, on top of that, which only adds like 10k. So the mint cake, because it has a street value of 5 mil, the other person will throw up 5 mil cold hard cash, and you'll do the swap. And essentially you gain 5 mil because those adamant poison arrows would have never sold anyway. And that's essentially how a junk trade worked. And it didn't have to be adamant arrows poison plus plus. It could be anything that wouldn't be bought that had an inflated or artificial grand exchange value, such as various tiaras, unstrung bows, some of them, various other items. There was plenty of junk items. It was a very weird time, but that's essentially how a junk trade would go. And these mint cakes were very popular. So at their very peak, they were between the range of 5 mil to 10 mil GP. This didn't last very long, and they eventually fell to 2 to 5 mil each and stabilized there between the years of 2009 to 2010, which is mainly where this controversy, if you want to call it that, took place. So the junk trades were one use of them. Another use was for the extremely wealthy merchers and players to put their gold, extra gold, because you can only have up to 2147 mil, similar to today. But we had platinum tokens. So back then people would put their extra gold in mint cakes because they were seen as rare enough to where they wouldn't just drop. There wasn't enough of them coming into the game to where they would just tank. So why is that? Well, it's because similar to old school's drop table right here on Gnome Restaurant, you can see it right here, it only gave one at a time, because we're talking RS3 pre-EOC, you have to remember. So one at a time, and they were pretty damn rare as well. I know people that camped it for an entire day and maybe only got 3. So people were not willing to do this, even though mint cakes had a street price of, 2 mil plus at certain points. And they also had to have a ton of junk items, which a lot of people just did not have. So how the hell did these mint cakes keep this stable price? Well, as I already explained, you could only get one from Gnome Restaurant very rarely, to the point where it wasn't even worth camping, and if you got one, you got one of them at a time, and it was rare. The other way to get it at the time was doing the Path of Glaufrey, however you want to pronounce that quest. You could bring Tangled Toad's legs to a specific NPC, and you could trade for one mint cake during the quest at some point. So that was another way. But again, you're not having a flood of just these mint cakes brought in. So they were pretty stable. Merchers used them, regular players used them. So you had all these players all hyped up about mint cakes. You know, you even had some players see the rich players have a bunch of mint cakes. They want to be just like them. As goofy as that sounds, that was probably a lot of people. And they also bought mint cakes, you know, for a few mil at a time. There was a whole craze over this damn item. So what happens when players are hoarding these mint cakes? You know, what could possibly go wrong? Some players having millions, not millions, millions worth of mint cakes, but having hundreds upon hundreds of mint cakes. What could possibly happen? So you have all these players, hundreds of mint cakes between some of the more wealthy ones. Even lower level players dump their bank into these dumb mint cakes, thinking their street price is going to rise even more if they keep hoarding them. So some players invested their whole bank in these dumb cakes. So what happens? Well, in February of 2010, Jagex made the mint cake much more common off of Gnome Restaurant. And not only that, it no longer gave just one. It gave 8 to 10 mint cakes. So a base amount of 8, a max amount of 10. These flooded into the game because people then started doing Gnome Restaurant to try and make some gold. You had a ton of people doing Gnome Restaurant this time, trying to get the 8 to 10 roll because the Grand Exchange value, the whole time the street value was this absurd amount, the Grand Exchange value was going up gradually. So they had a good Grand Exchange value as well. So a lot of players panicked, rightfully so. And some other players were like, oh, these people are stupid. I'm going to buy up all these mint cakes for 200, 300k a piece. And these idiots are just going to, you know, lose their mint cakes and I'm going to hold them and they're going to rebound someday. They're not going to crash. They're going to stabilize. And they never stabilized. They became utterly worthless, and people were stuck with hundreds upon hundreds of mint cakes that they no longer wanted to get rid of because they had initially invested tens of hundreds of millions of gold in them. So it sucks for those players, but it's just kind of an absurd time in RuneScape history that I wanted to cover. And I mean, that's pretty much it. It caused a little bit of backlash. There was a small amount of rioting from what I remember. I'll try and find footage and put it behind my massive head if it'll fit. No large scale riot though. I mean, people were pissed on the rant forums. I'll also post those if I can find it. There was a mod, and surrounding the mod were people like yelling at the JMod, like getting all mad as they were calmly trying to explain why they did it. So yeah, not a large riot because of this. It was just an interesting little tidbit of history I wanted to bring up. But this item was a staple in the RuneScape economy from 2009 to 2010, and it was a really crazy time that I wanted to share with you guys. That's about it for me. This is the RuneScape historian checking out. Thank you guys so much for watching this far. Do all the typical stuff that helps me. If you want to help out the channel, I really do appreciate it. You know, hit the stupid bell. I I hate that damn bell. Thumbs up, you know, smash the like button, ooh. All that good stuff. And yeah, I will catch you in the next one. I can't say when it'll be up. I'm trying to do at least 1 to 2 a week from now on. I took a little 2-week break because of my busy schedule IRL. But yeah, crazy times. Later, guys. There is a pretty funny origin story behind the mint cake actually shooting up in price. It seems pretty credible, but do I believe it's the only reason the mint cake shot up in price? Absolutely not. There were probably a ton of other factors, but it is funny for a good read. I'll include it in the description below. It involves mint cake and oral sex, so great stuff. Later, guys.